So what is the real untold story of online travel in Asia? It's not just about the platforms, the bookings, the exits. It's about the people who built it, the outsiders, the misfits, the mavericks, the professionals, the curious, the hungry, the long tail, and the independents. The ones who dared, who stumbled, and who kept going. And the very human stories they carry. Ethan Lin, CEO and co-founder of Klook, on the rookie mistake.
A typical question I have is that in the weight mentoring session, someone will share me a business idea, but now after doing it for 10 years, my first question will pop up and challenging the person is, do you think it's scalable? So one of the first activity we onboarded was para hawking. It's a paragliding experience in Nepal. The one who take you to paragliding also have a hawk. Like, if it's landing here, it goes out and coming back. So it's called para hawking, right? It's only 3 people can do it in the world in Nepal. So we onboarded. It looks amazing, right? But, with millions of views because it was such a social media buzz. And there's only 3 bookings. Ever. So what you think is a pain point, something of a personal interest, when you really put into a market, is it really scalable? Is it surprise scalable? Is it demand make sense for people who actually not just find it cool, but also want to enjoy it and book it?
Rob Rosenstein, chairman and co-founder of Agoda, talking about before COVID, there was SARS.
I remember I was flying into Hong Kong. Our original business, we were just working on pivoting to Agoda, and we were, working really hard. We were trying to keep this older business alive. And as I was flying into Hong Kong, people were coming into these giant hazmat suits, like space aliens, into the plane and spraying everybody. And during that week, everybody was dying. And I mean everybody. The doctors, who are heroes, the WHO doctors who were flying into Hong Kong, they were dying of SARS, like right away. So there was a sense of like, maybe this was the end of the world for like a few weeks. Maybe there was like a 4 or 5 week period where it was like, maybe we need to start spending some time with family, it was real scary. And my business, was basically bankrupt. We owed everybody money. All the revenue evaporated. And in those days, we were buying a lot of our products from wholesalers. At some point during the show, I realized we owe everybody money. And so did everybody owed everybody money. It was pretty bad. And so I guess one thing I'll share with you is I went and visited those people and told them that we couldn't pay them, but that we would. And I, had to make a payment schedule that was long and painful for everybody. But one thing I learned about that experience is I was brutally honest, and I was committed to paying back the money, and we did. And that really helped us build, relationships over the years that I think ended up being very valuable.
Morris Sim, co-founder, Circos Morris, on the legal letter that arrived on Christmas Eve.
The single thing that caused the most amount of stress was in the early days, because we were pioneers in this field, just receiving, I remember receiving a letter from a very big review site that asked us to stop using their data on Christmas Eve, just when we had sold and signed our first client. And you can't imagine like how deflating that was. And it was like, it was a very large provider based in the States. And, they had a high power lawyer that basically sent us a pretty nasty letter, and on Christmas Eve, many years later, eventually worked it out to the point where we had to pay a licensing fee. can you imagine, like, like you're sitting down about to have dinner, and I think my son at that point was probably like 3 or 4 years old, it's like, daddy. And I'm like, wait a minute here. Something came in from, xxx.com or whatnot. And you're reading the letter and like, your just entire future just kind of flashes by and you think, oh my God, we're so effed. And, but that was really hard. But I would say it builds character. Like things don't always come, with a nice bow on top. And when you kind of you meet an obstacle, you kind of have to be creative and figure out your way around it.
Kei Shibata, co-founder, travel.jp, on the moment that his hands were shaking.
We managed to IPO in the Japanese stock exchange in the year 2008. However, though, the founder, including myself, couldn't even sell the single share at the IPO. We are still owning less than 10% of a stock. 1 month later, the Lehman shock happened, financial crisis. So our stock price tanked. And then what happened was the boss of those two major investors who still own 90% of a company came to us and saying that they wanted to sell all of their shares. So what happened was we ended up is actually using most of our cash reserve that we actually earned and accumulated from our business operation over the course of previous 8 years to buy back the large portion of the shares from those investors. But it still wasn't enough, unfortunately. Soon after that, we decided to actually do a management buyout. I still remember, signing my personal guarantee for more than $20 million because it was necessary to actually complete the transaction. So my hands were shaking.
My hands would be shaking too. Above all, what struck me over the last 20 years has been the friendships that built businesses, such as C-Trip, Make My Trip, Agoda, Klook, Wigo, Traveloka, and numerous others. But they would not have made it on their own without friendships across the industry. That was the first lesson Klook's co-founders, Ethan Lin and Eric Ngok-Fa, learned when they won the WIT Startup Pitch in Japan in 2015.
What really that we take away from one of the suggestions from one of the George agent is travel is an ecosystem, right? There's so much things you need to do from different players in the market, and no one can do it all. So how to really maintain an open and transparent ecosystem and working with all the partners and for long-term sustainable development is a key to the success of the travel tech sector. Even including, the platforms such as WIT, really bringing the travel victim together to share ideas, share insights, and they can really flourish together from there.
And it is these next generation entrepreneurs that will take online travel in Asia to the next stage and define the next 20.
Let the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. All together now, let's begin.
What's interesting about the travel and tourism industry, and I think it is a secret, is it's astounding to me how many times outsiders come in and they create amazing products and services. And after 10 years, they're the ones on stage talking about and philosophizing to the next generation of entrepreneurs. But they themselves were outsiders, and now they're insiders. You can tell they're the next generation, obviously because they're younger. But when you talk to them, their eyes are shifty. They're doing this. They're looking here. They're looking over here. They want to see who they should meet. They have this pent up energy and anxiety that a well-established insider doesn't have. That they have their more, Teddy Roosevelt, cigarette. They're going, and but these younger generation talents, they have this energy, and it's amazing to watch. And in fact, in some ways I envy it, but I did go through it myself, so I definitely didn't miss out on that.
So outsiders become insiders and new outsiders come in, and the cycle repeats. For years, Asia followed the West. Then it leapfrogged. Now, the world looks to Asia for ideas, for innovation, for inspiration. Here's how Timothy O'Neill Dunn, who has not missed a single WIT, tells the story.
When WIT started 20 years ago, the world was a very, very different place. The internet was still all a bubble, and investments went into cool ideas, basically on some pretty sketchy business plans. Expedia launched its venture into China with Elong. Spreadsheet jockeys talked about hockey sticks, and they were all the rage. Some analysts were even predicting the end of the boom-bust cycles and forever growth. China was still seen as this fabulous growth opportunity. Few thoughts about explosive growth were going into the Middle East as everything but a novelty. Every eye in APAC was on following America and bringing that model to Asia. Fast forward 20 years, and now it's almost completely the opposite. Dubai Airport is now the world's biggest in terms of passengers. See how things have changed? For 20 years, we didn't have a projection about what that was going to be. So WIT has always been there. It's been there for every stage of this transition. At first bringing in American and European talents to share with Asia, then taking it back, which I thought was just wonderful. Taking Asian talent and know-how to the Western world and now to Africa and the Middle East, all with a touch of Asian unique hospitality, endeavor, and sheer determination. It's been quite a journey to observe, and even better to participate in.
We began with David Bowie. Let's end with him. I don't know where I'm going, but I promise it won't be boring. The last 20, a ride. The next 20, a rocket. But here's a gentle reminder.
One of my favorite songs is Stay Gentle by Brandi Carlile. And I think that is a good motto for me in life. But for us in travel and industry, we should be curious, and we should want to understand each other. We should not be quick to judge or form opinions based on something we might hear or read online. Yeah, isn't that what our industry is all about? That has been our chapter before. I think that's the next chapter. So stay gentle.
Along with gentle, I think we have to be both reflective and inventive. More deliberate, more responsible about the decisions we make and the actions that we take to shape the industry we want and deserve. And of course, don't forget to have fun. Brace yourself for the next 20.
No stand to see. We turn it up. Yeah. We run on wheel. Together we rise, strong and free.